Welcome to our posts. Today we will see stories of am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for not letting my miracle baby niece be my flower girl at my wedding? I am 27 years old woman. My older brother and sister-in-law, both mid-30s, just welcomed their first child a year and a half ago after years of trying. After many failed attempts, sister-in-law was told that she wouldn't be able to conceive due to a medical condition she has. They finally got pregnant. Since having my niece, the baby has been the center of attention at every family even we've had since she was born. Birthdays, weddings, family get-togethers, you name it. Now don't get me wrong, I love my niece, but it can get to be a little too much when my sister-in-law goes on and on about how long they tried to conceive, complications they've had, miscarriages they've had, etc. Like a little too much info. Many family members have commented on how it's a little bit excessive, but no one has said anything because they don't want to sound like an butthole. Anyway, I'm getting married in the spring and my brother and sister-in-law approached me last weekend about having my niece be the flower girl. Now my fiancé, 35 male, has 2 children, 10 male and 6 female, from his previous marriage. His son is one of his groomsmen while his daughter had asked to be our flower girl. When we told them the news that we were getting married a year ago, as it's something she always wanted to do, so of course we said yes. So I explained this to my sister-in-law when she asked me about my niece. She asked if my stepdaughter can just carry my niece with her. I said I don't think she'd be comfortable with that considering she's 6. She then asked why I can't give that role to my niece and allow herself to carry my niece down as the flower girl. I said no because I already promised my stepdaughter. She then started going off about how my lack of effort to incorporate my niece is disgusting to her. I should honor her in some way since I know how long and hard they tried for my niece. Now I may sound like an butthole for this, but I kind of got fed up and snapped and said, incorporate my niece how? By the time the wedding comes around she'll be 2 years old. The entire family already knows your story about how long and hard you guys tried for her. What more do you expect me to do to honor her? She started crying and said that clearly I don't love my one and only niece and I'm letting her down. I said of course I love my niece, and obviously she's going to be involved in pictures and stuff. But I'm not going to let my stepdaughter down by giving my niece a role she's too young to remember anyway. Well, now sister-in-law and my brother are pissed off with me for not letting my niece be flower girl and are running around telling the rest of the family I don't love my niece. My mom had been trying to stay neutral but thinks my stepdaughter would understand if I explained to her I need to give that role to my niece. I'm firm in my decision though, and my fiancé is thankful that I didn't let his daughter down. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my niece to be the flower girl? Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling him an effing embarrassment? I've been seeing my fiancé for 4 years now and I came into the relationship with 2 boys. My boys are now 12 and 9. Once a year me and the boys go to my family's vacation home with the entire family, and up until this year, my fiancé did not attend. But now that we are engaged and merging families, the family asked that he come too. They all get along great with him anyways. I explained to him prior to us coming to our family retreat that during our week stay with the family, my kids do not have a bedtime. We do a lot of night activities, such as night swimming in the pool, karaoke, fires, nightly strolls through the neighborhood, etc., etc. So during this week, my kids absolutely do not have a bedtime, and this is how it has always been. I made it clear that bedtime was not to be enforced like it was at home because this is vacation and time with family and I'm not making my kids miss out on the nightly activities. I also explained that due to this, some nights they are up until easily 11 midnight. It's once a year, it's no big deal. So he was fully aware, and please note that this is the only time I've seen this side of him that I will mention below. We get here the first night and you can tell he is already uncomfortable with the boys staying up past their bedtime. He was stressing out because the boys were still in the pool at 10 p.m. and he felt they should be in bed already. I reminded him at least twice that we were not enforcing a bedtime here and he let it go the first night. The second night 9 p.m. rolls around and the boys were still up and my fiancé was dropping comments like you're lucky you're even still awake right now, you should be in bed. Saying it right in front of my mom, who looked mortified that he had such an attitude. I told him to cut the effing crap, in private. He tells me he thinks it's F up and that it's going to be terrible trying to get them back on their schedule, never been an issue in the years prior. I stood firm and told him to knock it off and let it go. But then last night my fiancé starts angry sighing every single time he looks at my kids still awake, and I finally pulled him aside and told him he was a effing embarrassment because he keeps saying these comments in front of my family, which leads to awkward silences and judgmental glances my way. I warned him prior to coming here, and if he had an issue that he can't control for a week, then he needs to leave because he's ruining our trip with his passive-aggressive BS surrounding a bedtime. He told me I'm an butthole for making him feel like garbage over wanting to keep the kids on a schedule because it's best for them. Am I the a-hole? Next story. Am I the a-hole for calling my sister a coke whore? I'm 18 female. I live with my parents and my sister, Joanne, 23 female. Joanne has a cocaine habit and she claims it's normal in her job and it's just the lifestyle of cheffing, yada yada. My parents seem to be ignoring it since Joanne pays her rent on time and keeps to herself when she's in the house and doesn't cause many problems. I'm a college student on a government grant, and I'm in college Monday to Friday up until 5/6 p.m. Working isn't really an option for me right now, so I don't go out much and I spend all my money on college supplies. Joanne doesn't seem to understand this and is always asking to borrow money and whatnot. I always say no because it works out that I only have 40 euros every week to spend on college stuff and travel to college. I got a Christmas bonus on my grant and I ended up deciding to book tickets for a smallish local gig that's next week. I booked two, one for me and one for my best friend because her birthday is the same day and she loves the type of music. It was meant to be a surprise for her. I had told Joanne about this on one of her good days because I was genuinely excited to finally do something and live the college student lifestyle for a night. The tickets were digital, on an account shared with my parents. Joanne had asked for the login telling them that she wanted to book tickets to something, but she was lying and used it to sell my tickets for drug money. I didn't find out until I had gotten the email to confirm that the tickets were sent to someone else and I was really confused at first. I checked and they were sent to someone I know Joanne knows. I went straight to her when she got home and asked what the F she did, and she tried lying, but I showed her proof it went to someone she knows and told her I wanted my money back then and there. She told me it was gone already. I lost my mind and started yelling at her, because it wasn't fair. My mom was just in from work and I was screaming at my sister who was crying at that point saying she was sorry and she didn't know it would upset me this much. My mom got involved and told me to keep my voice down and we'll talk about it, and I told her to shut up and stay out of it. I ended up saying something along the lines of, why is it fair that you get to do this to me when I've never even drank alcohol or smoked weed? Why does the coke whore get to be the golden child but not me? My mom stepped in and put a stop to it then and there. My sister had started screaming back at me for what I called her. My mom said that was out of line and she just made a mistake. I told my mom her mistake cost me the only night out I'll have been able to have all year, so she should hear what I have to say about it. My mom thinks I was in the wrong for what I said, and my sister won't even look at me even though it's been 3 days and I've tried apologizing. Am I the a-hole? Next story. Am I the a-hole for reporting my classmates for joking that I have pretty privilege? Background: I'm 23 female, one of only a few female students in a male-dominated course. Furthermore, I am at a highly prestigious university and I haven't really gotten along with the guys on my course. They are all very competitive and I just don't really enjoy their company. Everything turns into a pissing contest, and they definitely take me less seriously because I'm a woman. I stopped interacting with them beyond the mere minimum and choose to hang out with other people. Anyway, I did well in our recent exams. I topped 2 out of 4 exams we had so far. Our prof congratulated me during class. I wouldn't have advertised this myself. Ever since then, my interactions with a specific group of male classmates have gotten weird. They're now outright rude and challenge me aggressively in class discussions. We recently had some presentations and one of them chose to do theirs on, to put it simply, pretty privilege. They specifically pointed to 2 papers that suggested that pretty female students get overscored in assessments. The other guys in the group snickered and one even gave me a wink. Afterwards, I heard them in the hallway joking that they had experience with that themselves. I'd been seeing a PhD student within our department for a month. He has literally nothing to do with our course. Well, we ran into one of my course mates together. The next day in class his friend B asked me if my boyfriend helped me with exams. He said this intentionally loudly and in front of the professor, who heard this. I replied that I don't have a boyfriend, 'cause he's not my boyfriend, but then B pointed out that he had run into me with the PhD student, making a point to say his name. The prof knows him. I just replied that we're only friends. They didn't let up. I heard that they discussed this thing in 2 more classes, in earshot of the professors. Both times they suggested I got help for my exams. I wasn't even seeing him then. I didn't confront them, but this has been causing me so much anxiety. Even without the exam accusations, I worked hard to get here and I don't want to be known among the faculty for my dating life. I raised this issue with my supervisor, without the intention of taking it any further, but I wanted her advice as a woman in academia. She convinced me to let her email their supervisors to remind them of proper conduct and describe their treatment of an unnamed female student. She didn't name me, but they figured it out. They confronted me after class and asked me why I would report their silly joke. Apparently, their supervisors are now very cold towards them and less interested in helping. It's not a formal complaint, only their supervisors know, but one of them, C, said his supervisor writes the reports for his financial aid or scholarship and it was my fault if he lost out on that. I now feel a bit embarrassed, and this was compounded by a friend telling me I took it too far cause C shouldn't lose out on his scholarship. So am I the a-hole? I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel or posts.